Sup everyone, this is Michael. I decided to bring you back yet another video this week. This one specifically about something I feel that has now been important. I didn't really think of this before. I would first and foremost like to apologize for the audio quality. I am trying some new audio stuff. I'm trying to use the noise reduction because recording with Turtle Beaches isn't exactly the best thing. But today I will be talking about Anita and her so-called claims towards feminism in gaming. I didn't think much of it until Alpha Omega Sin himself brought it up. I will talk more on about that later, but I hope that, well, I make a good positive first impression, and that I will first and foremost also say that I do love the fact that there are more women playing video games nowadays. I do love the fact that there are more strong female characters, whether they are busty or not. I don't really care. I just want them to be good, mature characters that have been approached, designed, and executed in a very, very positive and mature manner. And I would love to see more of this. I would love to have more girls playing games. I would love to see things like women in the LCS, that is a League of Legends Championship Series, for those who don't know, and much more. But Alpha Omega Sin bringing this up has basically kind of sparked a flame, and I just hope that you guys will understand my point of view. If you have any concerns whatsoever, as well as constructive criticism on my points, please do direct them into the comment section below, and we can have a nice little lovely conversation. Keep everything, nice and happy and moving forward. So, basically, I've been playing games for a very long time, and I will be one of the first to admit, at least in this video, that there have been a lot of sexualization in games and media, and let's just face it, it's something that's been around for a very long time, and I don't think a few feminists are going to really change that, but we could most certainly make the steps forward as long as they are made with a lot of others in mind, as well as the idea or fact that, it isn't just one side that is being the victim here. So as long as everything is understood in that note, I ask that you all enjoy the video and enjoy the Tomb Raider little clip that I have for you guys, because I'm going to try approach this from a different angle in terms of video production, and I've also been trying noise cancellation, so I once again apologize for the poor audio. Turtle Beaches, I'm gonna have to probably use something else. I'm gonna have to buy an actual mic, but let's move on forward. Alright, so the nutshell of what happened is that there is an ABCnews article on the internet that talks about how Sarkeesian has made her points and statements and how they've affected her life with regards to receiving death threats. These particular death threats have been rather the bigger focus of the article, I'd probably argue, due to the fact that its headline is basically named "When Jumping into Gamergate Turns to Interfering for Your Life." Well, and then she has the nerve to say in there that it's terrorism on women in the industry. It's scaring every one of us. No, I'd beg to differ there, especially considering the amount of games where there are actually femme fatales that are the primary protagonist in the game. Shoot, nowadays I don't even want to get into a game unless there's at least an interesting female character who's kicking ass alongside me, let alone the idea that I'm being a terrorist because I play and enjoy these particular games where violence is actually a part of or, indulged in. There's a huge issue in how I am noticing that she has been nitpicking, just looking for things that would only further her agenda, despite taking into not even doing that. She's not even doing it. She's not even taking into account that there are many, many examples to actually refute everything she has said, or at least she's tried to show. Yes, I agree with her on a few things, very few, but I think she's messed up in about everything else. And I'm not going to really talk about it because, again, this is my first time making a video like this. I made rants before, but never on a topic so controversial as this. See, you could say that I'm a feminist, but the thing is, I want equality to a point where everyone gets both the reward and the punishment and the accountability. If I'm looking at you from a certain perspective, whereas though I need to make a decision of whether you're right and wrong, your gender should not be a part of it. Your sex should not be a part of it. As far as I'm concerned, it should be generally about me making the right decision and treating you as a human. Now, despite this, there are double standards. Both sides, no matter what you do, they will be there. And the only way I feel that will be removed is if the entire society as a whole hits the reset button. In other words, first you have to basically get rid of the idea of masculinity and femininity, if you want to go that far. But really, at the end of the day, it's kind of hardwired into society. Sex sells, apparently, and it does so for women as much as it does for men. In my opinion, especially when you consider the fact that men have been sexualized, I will gladly say that if you think about it, men has been in that same situation. It just hasn't been thought of as that. I mean, think about it. You have superheroes like Superman, Wolverine, various other superheroes, and where they are big, tall, and masculine, all that other stuff. And they have superpowers, they're intelligent, and some of these particular movies as well usually show a damsel in distress where it's actually a tall, handsome young man. Nothing basically is wrong with him, maybe except for his naivety, form of fear or whatever. Yet, he is there, everybody in the audience loves him or something like that, and he becomes a popular figure character for this particular movie to save this individual girl. Maybe except for a few videos. The recent one was a 3D CGI movie about a girl who, she was basically another form of, I think it was either Rapunzel or whatever. Long hair and everything. I forgot. I haven't been keeping up with those movies. I've also seen others like Frozen. Although the female protagonist is really conflicted in her feelings, she is shown to be quite powerful and independent, in my opinion, despite her being rather seclusive and very much, disconnected from society due to her fear of hurting others. She and her sister proved to be quite capable. In fact, I'm willing to bet, that they would have lived happy lives without a guy in the first place. But I suppose in the end, that kind of happily ever after thing kind of goes well with that. But back to video gaming, because I feel like I've veered off way too much. I just feel that I can't even hold her as accountable as a gamer. I do not for once think that she carries that kind of credibility, in my opinion. As someone with an opinion, of course, she has her opinion. We would have to respect it, even though most of us would call out BS on some of the claims that she's been making, because they seem very, very one-sided, and many people on the internet will tell you that. And in fact, in these particular claims, in the way that they have been introduced, is probably the primary reason why there are trolls out there that have actually made threats against her, and forcing her to even eventually have the FBI investigating her case. More on that later, but it's really getting sad now, and I feel like this just has to stop. Let games be about games. If you do see an issue in which you feel like a female protagonist has been sexualized to a point where it's just absurd, go ahead and voice your opinion about it, but just don't be all one-minded like this or that, because I can see what she's talking about. There are female characters like Kasumi, for example, who are very sexualized, although you could say that in Kasumi's defense, that's basically who she is. If you think about it, kunoichis were always thought of as female ninjas, usually using their alluring bodies to basically tip their opponents off their balance or let them drop their guard as they would go in for the kill, or, basically complete their mission. And it's in these particular habits or situations that it kind of matches. But, you can't just point out Kasumi or a stripper, but not point out others like Lightning, Samus Aran, the less bustier characters, or, sexualized characters, because they are strong and independent as well. There have been characters, even with such said sexualization among them, that have still proven to be very strong, very independent, very intelligent, and very, very cunning. Especially when you think of games like Bayonetta. Shoot, let's look at that for a game. But I will just, like to hop on from one thing to the next, and then let's take a look at the article. So, before I get into that, I will also like to say that I love that there are a lot of women playing games. I love that there are more getting involved. I love that things are changing. We are now seeing more female protagonists in games. And I love that there are so many, people in this community now that we can actually have a lot more variety, especially when it comes to women and their opinions about the games and how they go about it. But not any of the women that I've encountered has the same opinions as Anita Sarkeesian does. So I don't even know where to begin on that one, but let's just move on forward and let's just, go from there. So let's take a look at the article featured by ABC News. This article has a video as well as various quotes of Anita herself stating what she believes is outright sexualization and objectification of women. The problem is that once you start reading, that's when things get questionable, and you begin to question whether or not she really has been paying attention at all. She is right about a few things, though, such as there being a number of women with curvy bodies, big busts, and in some cases, damsels in distress. But it is almost as if she is completely ignoring the games and media where this is not the case. In fact, you notice that she's being extremely selective just to further her own agenda. At least that's what you would think anyway. Not to mention a few other articles and a number of female gaming developers not exactly agreeing with her. Back to the article, though. The article then goes and says, but there are some signs of change in the gaming community. More and more developers are seeing the need for more women programmers and more girl-friendly games. Even Lara Croft in Tomb Raider got a makeover with more clothes and less curves in the game's latest edition. Unquote. The problem with that is not so much as they're trying to go for a different set of advances. It seems like a problem of identification here, or at least knowing something. Alright, first off, while it may seem like they're establishing some sort of movement or change, they forget to mention that the game in question is about Lara Croft's origin. In other words, she would be young. She would have to kill someone for the first time. She would also have to learn to survive in harsh conditions. And with her being younger, there's a chance she may not be as developed as shown in previous installments. So, what change were you really talking about here? I mean, I can't assume that Lara was always busty. Everyone starts at somewhere, right? But that's besides the point. But in the article, there are those like a man that goes by Scott. Last name is omitted for good reason. He appears to be very informed on what games are and the industry as a whole, and in doing so, he tries to tell her to chill out and lighten up, and that games are not reality. But then Anita then says, quote, games have a huge impact on our society because the media plays a role in helping shape our attitudes. It's not just fantasy. It actually works to potentially reinforce pretty harmful things about women, unquote. She's right. I do agree with her in that media can be a powerful weapon, but she has also failed to realize that there are plenty of games and media that feature very powerful, strong, independent, and smart women as well. Now, if I'm dealing with a woman that just so happens to be the opposite of that in a game, I won't think any less of the girl right next to me. There have been times when you have a female protagonist and there's a male as dumb as rocks, but no one seems to point that out, do they? Although, you don't really have that often, so it's even harder right now to mention a few games that have that situation in mind. However, you could also argue the very game I'm playing right now features rather someone who's idiotic and whose ambitions get over his brain, but whatever. Anyway, there are various strong femme fatales as mentioned before, such as Lara Croft herself, Chun-Li of Street Fighter, Alex Vance from Half-Life series, Samus Aran from Metroid, and a lot of games, especially games like Saints Row, Skyrim, Mass Effect, and GTA 5, where the protagonist can opt to be a female and be a dominant force to be reckoned with. Needless to say, Anita is being very selective to a point where it seems like she's ignoring the fact that women do have an impact in the industry. Okay? They are female gamers as much as ever. Even the damn article has said that. Yet, you're treating it as if they have no influence. I mean, let's not forget that there are even women who develop games that don't even agree with Anita, at least not completely. And since I don't have permission to use their content in this video, I can at least provide their gist and comments of what a few of them I've selected, and the little pool and time that I have that would, express this. And not all of them are women, so let's go with that. But before we continue though, I want to kind of jump back to the previous point, and I said that women do have an impact. Now, it may not be as entirely true in the development cycle, because there are, I believe, more men in game development than women, and it's easier to create a character you can relate to. So would you really expect a man to create the perfect woman in the game that would fit to every woman's catering desire? No, that's a fat chance in hell, and that's not even true for men creating male characters, okay? It's just easier for a woman to create a woman character as they can relate to a woman, okay? But it's like, from the development standpoint, I can understand that. It's perfectly understandable. I do believe more women should be making games as well, and I'm glad to see that a YouTuber making a good set of indie games herself, and I've subscribed to her, so let's move on with that. Alright, so let's take a look at a backer. A YouTube user by the name of Leo Pirate once supported Anita, but after he realized who she was and the message she was conveying, as well as the behavior she exhibited on the matter, he made this comment when he was asked why he supported her. He said, and I quote, "Because at the time of donating, I did not look up her previous videos. Feminism by definition is about gender equality, and I want to see popular video games analyzed through this lens. Anita isn't a feminist in the traditional sense of the word. She's an anti-sex rad feminist who has less than ideal views on the movement. Look up her thoughts on the slut walks. I enthusiastically donated to the project because I wrongly believed I was donating to a documentary series that would analyze games as a whole, maybe even with developer commentaries and interviews." Unquote. Now that would be good. That would be an amazing thing. I would love to see that documentary. Had it have been the thing that has been, promised. It seems as though she promised various things, and he expresses dissatisfaction with her. Now, some people have said that, well, there's been time constraints, yada yada, but according to him, he has been waiting for months, even creating estimations and times that he can expect it, and was disappointed the way through. So he expressed his dissatisfaction with her. And then in the same comment, he goes on saying, "In the past, I had trouble understanding what female privilege is. I didn't think it was real, especially with how much systemic oppression women currently face. But this whole event changed my perception, considering I have been called misogynist and a rape apologist just for disagreeing with her." Unquote. Wow, that's a bit screwed up, but it's true. Some women are just like that. You do have your a-hole guys who are really oppressing women. Shit, some even do it just because they feel it's a part of their religion, or I am also convinced that they're just doing it because religion gives them, kind of a mask, not much different from how, ISIS has been using their so-called, allegiance to the religion and stuff to justify what they're doing. Oh, hell no. No good Muslim would actually, support that violence that they're doing. But that's another issue. So it doesn't even end there, really. In fact, let's take a look at a female game developer. And, well, now, as I said before, she gives her a take on it, right? She doesn't completely agree with her either. And I don't have content rights or anything like that, so I will just give the gist and the comments that she has made, including whatever's in the description. So the YouTube channel is Doll Divine Dress Up Games, right? The YouTube channel is essentially just her, doing what she does, and I guess the processes of her making her game. Basically, she explains that while she believes that Anita had the right idea, or at least some of it, she also explains that she thinks what she's implying about game developers can be hurtful and offensive. So she has the right idea too. I strongly recommend you guys watch that video of hers. I'll leave a link to that as well. But a commenter on that very same video hit the nail on the head, I feel. The poster's name is N.R. Blatt Talar. Sorry if I butchered your name, Burham, or girl, whatever. But his comment literally said, and I quote, "As for the rest of your video, I really liked it. You made very good points. You're logical and balanced. I think the reason people hate Anita so much is because, well, she's a moron. She makes certain good points, like how video games are repetitive with their writing and characters, but others are just terrible and grasping for straws. She went so far as to say that some games promote violence towards women." Unquote. Oh my goodness, he hit the nail on the head right there. Okay, a game that's violent in nature will be violent no matter what gender you are. I mean, come on. Think about Grand Theft Auto 5. You think a gun filled with bullets fired at an entire crowd of your own enemies in-game would care if you were a man or woman? Shit, I would argue that, you kill more men in the Grand Theft Auto series than you will ever kill a woman, especially when you consider the campaigns and the stories and the multiplayer. But then again, that might change with 5 online, considering that there are more female protagonists on the online version. People are just selecting to play as female, and they just gun each other down. No sex involved. It was just female protagonists or avatars gunning each other down. It doesn't matter. That's the point. It's amazing how she makes Anita, I mean, makes such claims about violence towards women, yet forgets that there are games, movies, and music videos depicting a woman performing acts of violence, whether it be for good or bad, you know, and it goes beyond the games that I've mentioned. Considering the fact that, well, it's been around for, what, decades? So can we really say that Anita is a gamer that has any idea of what is going on? Well, I can't really say. And I'm not going to believe any darn video or picture of her supposedly with a controller in her hand looking at a TV as playing a game, because she doesn't exactly seem to get it if she's playing these games and she still feels as though everything, you know, done against a woman in game is showing this. Because if she really believed that, she would also have to say that anytime I'm playing as Franklin in Grand Theft Auto 5 and I'm killing a male avatar or NPC in game, I'm promoting violence against men. Why didn't she say that? What about car crashes? Why isn't she complaining about how this is not very much a good thing for those who are car crash victims with large injuries and stuff and got into debt because of it? You know, where is that? You're expecting me to take you seriously, Anita. I'm not going to do that. I'll take a true feminist. I'm not even going to call you an actual feminist. I think you're more of the lines of a feminazi or something radical, as Leo Pirate has explained before. Because apparently Anita, I mean, has been taking footage from other YouTubers and then do so in a very nitpicky fashion just to further her own agenda, but never even give credit to the posters of said content. And there's even the other issue of her, you know, having people threaten her outright, threaten her life. Now, I will say this to her defense. Anita, I do not believe your social security should have been put on the internet like that. Whoever did that was a grade A-hole, because that is your personal information. That should not have happened to you. It should not happen to anyone. I believe that, you know, we may differ on viewpoints, but I would never look to actually physically harm you, although some people might want to slap you upside the head, but because you are basically painting gamers as these bad people who just, like, discriminate against women, I do not agree with that. But let's face it, death threats are nothing new. Countless YouTubers and Let's Players have received death threats, including Alpha Omega Sin, who himself has made it clear that his life has been threatened numerous times, including in person, because someone held a gun to him at, like, right in real life, like he was just held at gunpoint in person. I don't think you've ever had that. Yet he doesn't need bodyguards to go from point A to point B. Okay, maybe it's because, I guess you could argue it's because he showed more sane reactions to gaming as a whole as opposed to you. I mean, he's not outright accusing anyone of this. If anything, Anita, if you looked at Right to Hell Retribution and you berated that game, I believe a lot of people would support you, because that game was an atrocity. That game was insulting to women. That game was disrespectful to women. I don't know what the hell was happening. Darn sex scenes were approached in such a way that was so immature that I just couldn't stand it. I mean, I have no problem with sex in video games, provided that they are appropriately labeled for those who are mature or 21 and up or whatever. Yeah, go ahead. It's a game. Don't worry about it. It's supposed to simulate something, whether it be an adventure or a story or even sex. I don't frickin' care. But point is that if you're going to include sex, at least do it maturely. At least avoid making it so that way the woman is a subservient one. If anything, I believe that a woman engaged in sex with a partner, she would have as much control as a man, or even more, and it's a mutual thing. But don't tell me that in a game like Right to Hell Retribution, I just kill your husband who was about to rape you. Next thing you know, right after me killing your husband, you want to have sex with me, fully clothed, dressed up, dry humping like a pair of rag dolls. That is bullshit. Okay, that's my opinion on it, but I'm not going to stick on that. But another situation is regarding the actual claims of the death threats, where even the FBI began investigating. And let's just say, well, there was no actual threat other than that personal information getting out. But she even, as far as gets exposed by Stephen Colbert as a fraud, I think it was last year. But the article was posted in late October, so if she really is a fraud and this is coming out, I guess people are starting to catch on now. So, sorry about that, because that gets really annoying. So, other than that, I don't really have much else to say, but I will say this. I love that women are playing these video games. I respect women as a whole. I play lots of violent video games, including ones where and you have women that are damsels in distress. But I've also played so much so that way I would know that there are situations where the opposite is the case. Lara Croft in Tomb Raider, just as she just tried to point out, basically offer Lara, who in a way needs saving herself, but ends up saving everyone else, who, well, is still alive for that matter. And if she can do it, what's stopping other femme fatales from doing the same thing? In fact, that's been done a lot. Let's look at Samus Aran. She tends to save the galaxy numerous times, not much different from Master Chief. She and various others have been very critical parts of games and their storylines, as well as how you get from beginning to end. And I just love that fact. There are more females involved in gaming. And as long as they are approached in a very mature fashion, I will welcome them all the time. We need more female gamers. I need more girl gamers playing League of Legends, taking it seriously to a point where, you know, they're getting into the LCS. They're on sponsored teams, you know what I'm saying? That would be great. Not like how Siren kind of carried out Team Siren, because they were always trying to flaunt how they were girls and we're coming to wreck you guys. But I'm sitting here like, okay, you're girls. You're playing a game. Get over it. Don't do that, because I'm just going to have a very bad impression on you. When you acknowledge that whether you're a man or female, that you are a gamer, you're looking to do stuff, you're looking to have fun and be a part of a community, that, in my opinion, is huge. But I don't want to keep this going on for much longer. So please leave a comment in the description. Not in the comment section. I'm so stupid today. And so just give me your opinions. Be it constructive criticism. Do you want to add on to this? What is your experience with this situation? And shout out to Alpha Omega Sin. Thanks for bringing this up, man. I really appreciate this. This is my first video of its kind. It's mediocre. I know. It's bad, perhaps. But I just want to kind of get my points out. So I hope you guys all have a great year. Happy New Year's. It's 2015. And let's hope that this is a better year for gaming, as we have some pretty great games coming out this year. Later.